If you don't already identify as an atheist, you might almost be one. Let me explain. Rewind back to a time when you were laying in your bed, praying to God, when all of a sudden it occurs to you, maybe you're right that there's a creator, but wrong about what he's like. Like, maybe he's all-knowing and all-powerful, but maybe he's perfectly evil rather than perfectly good. Sure, you may believe in evil supernatural entities already, but what if it extends all the way to the top? If you're like me, you've probably never lost a second of sleep worrying about the existence of this kind of supreme deity. And if you have, worrying about it probably hasn't consumed your life. But if that's true, why? There has to be a reason this idea doesn't bother most people. I would submit that there is a very simple answer to this question. It just doesn't seem like a being matching that description exists. And people recognize it en masse. In fact, I bet that if you go up to almost any everyday theist, describe this kind of deity, and ask why they don't believe in it, they aren't going to tell you a story about the incoherence of an evil god. They're going to do something like point to all the love, laughter, and beauty in the world as a counter to the idea that an all-powerful deity of perfect malevolence exists. Put another way, the reasoning goes something like this. Certainly we can have some idea of what a world created by an all-powerful, all-knowing, deeply nasty being would look like. And given all the joy in this one, surely this ain't it. Or more formally, the kind, degree, and distribution of good in the world is extremely surprising on the hypothesis that an all-powerful, all-knowing, perfectly evil being exists, and so is an extremely good reason to think such a being doesn't exist. Now, if you accept this kind of reasoning, it matters a lot. Because if you reject the existence of an evil god for a certain set of reasons, then you should also reject a good god for a parallel set of reasons, unless you have a double standard. This is the heart of Stephen Law's Evil God Challenge, which he summarizes in this way. Quote, "My argument is this. If you can reasonably reject evil God because of the problem of good, and I think you can, then why can't you reasonably reject belief in good God because of the problem of evil?" Unquote. I mean, think about it this way. Suppose someone did believe in an entity like this. They might defend their claims by saying things like, the reason there's so much joy in the world is because evil God gave us free will. Without free will, we would be robots, and there would never be an opportunity to be truly malicious. The existence of some joy and happiness is the price evil God pays for the possibility of real malice. Or, evil God has hidden reasons for allowing so much joy. And who are we to think that we're in a good position to assess what a malicious deity would or wouldn't do? Or, without some joy in the world, people will never be able to be truly miserable when everything is stripped away from them. Joy is necessary for the ultimate misery of sentient creatures. Would any of these responses make the belief in a fundamentally malicious, all-powerful deity sound more reasonable to you? I doubt it, because the hypothesis still flies completely in the face of the totality of your experience. This doesn't rule out every God concept possible, you might object. Well, for the purpose of this video, by God, I mean the orthodoxly conceived monotheistic God that everyone actually cares about, not some nebulous creator. This is consistent with how the term theism is used in much of the philosophical literature, even by theists. Richard Swinburne begins his book, Is There a God?, by writing, quote, "My topic is the claim that there is a God, understood in the way Western religion, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam has generally understood that claim. I call that claim theism," unquote. I do too. So shut the fuck up if your complaint is I'm not about to debunk every God concept possible here. Another dumb objection is to pound your fist on the table many times and declare that an evil God is an impossibility. This objection has been consistently anticipated and answered by law, and yet it's like the objection that never dies. Here's law decisively answering it for the millionth time. Quote, "There might be a logical problem with the idea of an evil God, just as some atheists think there's a logical problem with the idea of a good God. Critics have argued for a long time that God's various attributes can't be combined. or that individual attributes, such as God's omnipotence, generate contradictions. It may be that you can present similar objections against an evil God too, perhaps better logical objections to an evil God. However, even if you could establish a logical problem when it comes to the idea of an evil God, we can still run the evil God challenge. My argument is this: if you can reasonably reject evil God because of the problem of good, and I think you can, then why can't you reasonably reject belief in good God because of the problem of evil? To point out that there are further logical problems with the idea of an evil God not mirrored by problems for a good God is to miss the point. The evil God challenge can still be used in this way, even if it turned out that the idea of an evil God is logically incoherent, unquote. Where then is the respite for the theist? Well, they essentially have to say that the reasoning is flawed here. They have to say that puppies, beach sunsets, and the love between parent and child aren't a good reason to doubt the existence of the most monstrous being imaginable. They have to say something like this, because if they don't, then clearly the guinea worm, tsunamis that wipe out thousands of people in the figurative snap of a finger, and the cycle of hatred that spawns the most brutal wars are a good reason to think the most beautiful being imaginable doesn't exist. But why fall into this trap if it's pretty clear that neither being exists?